What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome to my comprehensive guide to Emblem Lyn's ring and how you can best use it with different strategies and which units make the best use out of it. I'll also be going over the new skill Speedtaker which he brings to the game, and I'll be going over the best users of it as well. So Emblem Lyn's ring is the most complex ring that we have got right now in the game, as it has a lot of mechanics and it also has the new style mechanic. So the engage effect is going to be giving you the extra special damage depending on your max special cooldown count multiplied by 4, except for your AoE specials. So if you have a 5 cooldown special, then you're going to be getting 20 extra damage. And if you're going to be having 1 cooldown special, then you just get 4 damage. This is not going to be the main point of the ring, and you should not really stress too much about having a higher cooldown special. This is just an extra thing that you get out of it. And this ring is exclusively only usable by the ranged units. The melee units cannot use it, so you're only able to snipe with their ranged units, and you can snipe foes that are in 5 spaces and in 3 rows and 3 columns centered on the unit, but you cannot always safely attack without any kind of consequence. Any kind of range armor is going to be able to counterattack, and if the enemy unit has got distant counter skill effect or any kind of close counter skill, then they're also going to be able to retaliate. We still haven't gotten close counter sacred seal, so maybe that could make any kind of range unit counter attack. And you also can get counterattacked if the enemy is at the same distance from which you're attacking with the style. And you cannot move while being in this style when you activate it. And you also cannot break any kind of structures with it. So unfortunately, you're not going to be able to collect the ether pots with it. And it also stops any kind of after combat movement. Now, this might seem a bit confusing, but it pretty much means stuff like original Layla's swap, which happens after the combat, so that is not going to be happening. However, rearmed Layla can still use her distance swap with the lookout force because it is not actually an after combat movement. It's considered a shadow shift effect, so you're able to use it offensively or defensively, and any kind of unit with shadow shift is able to use this. And as you can see here, Ninja Lucina is able to swap, get the extraction, snipe something, then reposition a unit, and that unit could, attack at the end of the map. So it is extremely flexible, and it is also going to be functioning with something like Rearmed Marianne's Requiem Prayer, because it is going to be acting as a shadow shift skill. So you're easily able to snipe something and then easily dance in your canto and then move forward with your allies. Any kind of after combat movement like the extractions or gale force is something you can get out of it. So you could either, use this style on your first move, and then with the extraction you could go and attack. Someone like Summer Galvik is not going to be able to use a duo skill though, because the duo skills are disabled when you have this Emblem Lyn ring. So the style mechanic is going to be replacing it. And you could even try and attack first and then snipe something with your extraction, and you could try and retreat with it compared to the Emblem Celica ring, which is going to be needing you to warp. You also cannot trigger any kind of AoE specials with this ring. Unfortunately, this ring is also going to be setting your canto remaining and distant traveled movement to 0. So if you have any kind of version 3 trace skill, then you simply do not get any kind of canto. However, if you have the version 4 of the skill, then it does have minimum Canto 1 in its condition. So you're able to get Canto 1 at the bare minimum with any kind of Trace 4 skill. So you're able to move after using this ring. Any kind of flat Canto from Canto 1 status or Canto 2 or Canto 3 built in your effect can easily be triggered, and then you could retreat or move forward. And Fortress Echo also has minimum Canto 1. So it is going to be again setting your remaining movement to 0, but still you get Canto 1 out of it. And unfortunately, this is not going to be working with the Canto distant traveled of, Winter Yunaka or Brave Bernie, as it is going to be setting your distance to 0. However, Nidavellir does have distant traveled +1, so he could move after this. We don't really have any other range unit, I believe, with this kind of effect. Even though you're going to be attacking from really far away, it is still going to be treated as if it has got range 2. So this means that the far save skills of the enemies are going to be getting triggered, and their defensive specials like Aegis are also going to be getting triggered. So you need to watch out for the far saves, and they definitely have a lot of value. This ring cannot be used on turn 1. So you would have to use the safety fence to stall for the first turn, and then you could try and use this Emblem ring. And that's why the level 2 safety fence is extremely good with this ring, as you're able to freely attack on turn 2, and then on turn 3 you're not going to be able to attack, but on turn 4 it is again going to be active. So in a game mode like Summoner Duels, you can only use this ring twice, and in game mode like Ether Raids, you're usually going to be able to use this 3 times in a match. And the style mechanic also has a bunch of rules, so you can only use it when you have an action available. So you cannot end turn and then use it. You can also get attacked by the AI who has got this Emblem Lyn ring. So the danger zone is going to be reflecting it. They also have to follow the same rules. So turn 2 onwards, you're going to be susceptible to it, and the danger zone is going to be changing. So that is another ring that you need to keep in mind for something like Arena. And the interactions of this ring are really interesting. So you're able to set up the terrains from stuff like Deadly Miasma from a distance and overwrite the ice tiles or the stone tiles of the enemies. So that is really good for just initiating combat against these kinds of maps. You could also set up the flame terrain, but usually the Deadly Miasma is going to be a lot more helpful as it has got the bigger area. And this way you could, get rid of the stone tiles of someone like Attuned Hector and then attack him. This also makes it so that the healers have a lot more utility now, because they could use Magic Shield Plus or Ice Lock, get the extra action, and then snipe something and safely attack them a lot of the times with their Dazzling Staff effect, and then inflict the enemy with the, chip damage, a lot of status effects. And Ymir is going to be having a lot of usage now because she can give you the miracle. She also has the cleansing, and dual strike and triangle attack is also going to be making a comeback, but this time on Ether Raid's offense, as you're able to have the extra attacks, and you could even attack 5 times if you have a potent follow-up attack. Nurgle is also able to make use of his Essence Drain status and also, help his allies steal the status effects from really far away, but unfortunately he has been countered a bit with the dosage status of NieR Nidhogger and Mythic Nidhogger, and I'm sure that we're going to be seeing a lot of NieR Nidhogger on Ether Raid's defense. Any kind of unit with the extra action can use their extra action to basically position them better, and then they could try and snipe with this Emblem ring. So the dual strike status is going to be really helpful for wall breaking against extremely bulky far safe tanks with your range units with this ring. And Ice Trap Thea is also a relatively new unit, and she provides you with the Canto 1 status. So again, you're going to be able to move and position yourself better after sniping something. Rattle-Catria could still be used, and even Haether could be used because of her Gold Serpent. And like I said, Ymir is going to be seeing a surge of usage now because she could be used to cleanse the negative status effects with her assist and also heal up the HP. And even Fallen Maria could be used, and she can have access to a lot of the infantry skills which Ymir cannot really have access to. But still, I do prefer Ymir a bit compared to Fallen Maria. And any kind of undefended status unit like Rearm Layla, who can inflict it with her Sloppy skill, or Bridal Embla, who can also provide you the special charge support, are going to be useful. And in the light season, they're going to be even better, as there is usually not going to be any kind of Freyr unless the enemy is using the out of season Freyr. In the Astro season, it is going to be a bit harder because Freyr is going to be countering the undefended status, and you will still have to face the far safe tanks of the enemy. But you could try and target the enemy unit that is not getting covered by Freyr, and then you could try and snipe them. So simply ignoring their far savior and sniping the enemy units and taking care of the problematic units is really good. And because you're able to attack from near your allies, you're able to take advantage of a bunch of supportive effects that are only going to be active in a certain proximity. So this means that you could easily take advantage of Mythic Thor, her special jumps that she gives, and she also gives out these special charges. So you're able to spam your specials a lot easily with the help of Dual Strike. And Emblem Lyn herself is a really good support unit because she could snipe on turn 1, which your ring user cannot. And she also provides you with the Desperation status and the Preempt Pulse status, so it also helps you trigger your specials. And then we have got Ninja Lucina, who is an insane unit, not only with this ring, but also for supporting your allies, because she could just help you position better with her assist, and it also gives you the player face scale effect and the 7 flat damage reduction, so it can help you survive against the hardy bearing tanks. And she also gives you the pulse effect when she uses her assist, so that is also really useful. A lot of different units could be used with this ring. Like I said, healers and Nurgle were also an option, but these are going to be your main options while team building, and these are going to be helping you get past a lot of the annoying units which might be trying to stop your ring usage. Now let's go over some of the best users of Lyn ring, and this can give you an idea on the types of unit you can put this ring on. So one of the best users of it is going to be Rearm Layla. She has everything that you could expect out of a ideal Lyn ring user, because she inflicts the undefended status, the flash status, she has got the Canto and the distance swap with lookout force. She even has disarm trap in her slot B skill, so she is extremely good, and she is downright disgusting with Emblem Lyn ring, and I've been using her a lot, so she's gonna be a mainstay in Airithraid's offense, and she also hits really hard, so she is just amazing with it. And one of the best units in the game has been attuned Micaiah with her support. Even her combat is so good, and she can inflict so many debuffs on the enemy in the combat that even red Far Saviors are not able to do much damage against her, and she does have the armor effective damage herself, so killing them is gonna be easier. And now she's got the Lyn ring, so she can snipe from a distance and can make use of dual strike or triangle attack and pretty much get the brave hits, which can help her, get the kills. And brave attacks were, one of the things that she was missing compared to Ninja Celine, but now she can even get that. And then she can run Deadly Miasma to put the haze terrain on the enemy and override their ice or stone tiles. And Nurgle, like I said, is a really unique user of this, as he could try and steal the status effects from a distance. Both Nidhoggers are meta units, so unfortunately he has gotten a bit countered with the dosage status, but still nonetheless he is extremely unique when it comes to this kind of niche. And you could also try and run a lot of healers, and Mythic Loki is an insane healer who can have the Pulse Up Blades effect in her weapon, so she could charge Glitter of Light, then she could run Ice Lock to set up the ice tiles, get the extraction, and she could just inflict the gravity. And she also debuffs with her slot C, and she also erases the status effects, and then she can snipe from a distance and inflict the flash status with the Glitter of Light. So any kind of healer can try and inflict the gravity status or the flash status with their special usage. And now they have access to Ice Lock skills, so that is extremely good. And you could also use this with Legendary Claude. He did get a really good weapon refine. He can be extremely bulky. He's a flyer who could inflict the haze terrain with the Deadly Miasma. He also has damage reduction, and he could also now run Curved Shot. So he could inflict the gravity status with his Fallen Star from a distance, and this could be really useful in Arena if he's part of your Earth Legendary Core. And you could also try and run this on NieR Kvasir or even Brave Marianne. NieR Kvasir basically does the same thing with providing the extraction, but she can also inflict the flash status. So like I said, with Loki, you could try and inflict the flash status and also refresh your ally at the same time. And she is an infantry unit, so she could take advantage of a lot of skills like Flash Barrow and Infantry Pulse 4. And you could also run this on an insanely good unit like Duo Lucina. Now, the logic would tell you that you should not be running Emblem Lyn ring that replaces your duo button with the style mechanic. This is insanely flexible, especially if you're going to be running her in Airithraid's offense. Your Azet is not going to be able to use her duo skill because of duo's hindrance, so you might as well run this. So it allows her to position better with the future focus. She can pre-charge her miracle, survive the hardy bearing tanks that can, counter attack, and they have got distant counter and such, so she can survive that. She also provides immense support with her assist. She has got the Shadow Shift, and she has got the Brave attacks. She has got absurd damage output with her quad attacks, so she can be such a fearsome unit with this effect, despite being a duo unit who's going to be losing her duo skill if she runs this. You could also run this on Rearm Marianne to refresh your allies and attack from a distance, and one of the counters to Rion Marianne is counter control. But if you attack from far away, then counter control is not going to be activating, and you can still refresh an ally after sniping something. So the nature of her Requiem prayer is Shadow Shift, and you could still run Fortress Echo because on turn 1 you're not going to be able to snipe anything with Lyn Ring. So this can help you pretty much break a structure and then refresh an ally and try and make the way or maybe set up for turn 2. Young Female Robin is also an amazing user of this despite having a duo skill, so she could position an ally forward and then snipe something. So it can help you many times, but her duo skill is also really good with the dual strike and the rally spectrum, which you could give out. So you just have to consider if you want to have the long range sniping or her duo skill usage. And then you could also try and run this on a lot of units that have any kind of sweep effect. So this way you're able to just attack from a distance and not get, counter attacked, even if the enemy has got distant counter, close counter, or anything like that. As long as they do not have null counter disrupt, you're going to be safe. And a lot of armor units are not going to be having that, except for maybe, Duo Fᴇᴜrm and Winter Byleth and Ascended Fᴇᴜrm. So you could try and run this on Duo Leon, who did fall off quite hard because of Breath of Life 4 and also Firm Counter Curb. So he could try and attack from a distance and end the action of the enemies with his end action smoke. But again, he is a duo unit, so it is extremely helpful in summoner duels where you could end the action of multiple units, but that does get countered by Firm Counter Curb. So you could also try and opt for this ring. You could also run this on Harmonic Nefni, as she is an excellent unit with the sweep effect. It is a speed check, but still she is going to be really fast. She also has the special jump and also gets the true damage on her special activation. So with dual strikes, she can hit really hard and just trigger her special a lot of times and then set up the haste terrain. And she does come with the mastery skill, so she can get the counter out of it. And she also provides the special jump support to her allies, so that is also helpful. And then Legendary Hinoka is also an amazing user of this because of her sweep effect. And now she could just run Speedtaker in her slot B because range flyers don't really have a lot of options. You could try and replace her Rallying Cry with Deadly Miasma depending on if you want to set up the haste terrain or not. But even without it, she can still function really well with Rallying Cry. Just give that support to her allies and then snipe with this. You could also run this on some older units like Legendary Alm. So if you're trying to update him, then because of his sweep effect, he also becomes an effective sniper with this. And you could even run this on Summer Lyn because she does have the sweep effect and also the effective damage against the armors. She could try and utilize it and hit really hard, especially at this kind of investment with Speedtaker just giving you extra speed and true damage, and Slash the Sparrow, which again gives you true damage. So all of these true damage stacking is really amazing when you run these units with Brattle Cadria, Winter Cordelia, just to get that brave attack support. And we also have Legendary Veronica, who has fallen off. She still has the sweep effect, and this ring can work in her favor many times because she could snipe when the enemy is near their allies, so that way her weapon can activate. And then you could just try and give the foe penalty doubler status to all of your teammates. So she already comes with Panic Smoke, and you could also run this on another potent follow-up attack unit in Ullr. And now a lot of these ranged offensive mythics gain a lot of value. Even Ashera is someone who could hit really hard, and Ullr does stand out because she is the only other potent 100% follow-up unit outside of Emblem Lyn herself. If Hathor is part of your mythic core, then she can give out the dual strike and treachery status, so that can help you hit harder, and she herself can be a really good sniper with this. It's a lot easier to function with her now with the level 2 safety fence, and you could just try and stack up the true damage. And again, Panic Smoke is something that you could run and now give out the foe penalty doubler status to all of your allies. And this is going to be a middle of the turn debuff, so Freyr is not going to be able to cleanse this. You could also run Rune, who is a newer mythic and the only reinforcement mythic that we've got. He can also hit really hard and also provide a ton of support. And you could also run this on T-Time Sigurd, who can just trigger his special. He also has the sweep effect, and then he could give the +1 movement to all of his allies. I know it's not really all that insane anymore with all of the power creep that we have gotten. So +1 movement doesn't help you as much as those older days, but still he does get better, and so does Panic Smoke, which you could apply. And you could again try and run Resonance, which is really important for the true damage and piercing. And Ivy is, fittingly one of the best users of Emblem Lyn ring, because she also has the potent follow-up attack, and she can simply apply the deadly miasma from a distance, and she also gets the Canto out of a Trace skill, so you don't really have to change too much to make her function as a really good user of this ring. Fᴇɪ̈ is a very unique unit who can disable the specials of the enemies, and now he gets better because he can stay near his allies and get the dual strike effect, or even stack up more speed, which is extremely needed on him if he wants to outspeed fast save units like Duo Fiorm. So this can definitely help him, and unfortunately Range Cavaliers don't really have a lot of options, so you could give him Winter Yunaka's kit, and you could also give this to your arena units if you happen to have a highly merged range unit. Not a lot of free-to-play players are going to be having it. Usually all of these arena core units for free-to-play players are going to be melee units, but if you have someone like Legendary Male Violet, then this could be a really good ring, because previously Emblem Sigurd ring was his best, and now you could try and run this and snipe the enemies and also provide the support. And Cyril is basically going to be the best free-to-play arena user of this ring, because he is the highest scoring ranged Grail unit. So you could try and snipe the problematic units, and especially Marnie, and Fatal Smoke is really needed on him in arena for optimizing, because every single match you're going to be facing Marnie, and she's got miracles, she's got the healing. So Fatal Smoke is something you need, and then you need physical non-follow-up, the damage reduction piercing, and he doesn't really have minus and special cooldown, so you could run curved shot. And even a super old legendary like Legendary Chrom has got a lot of utility because of his assist. He is still really strong because of it. I mean, he's not insane, but still with this Lyn ring, if you do have him at plus and merge, then he could be a lot of fun with the new skills, and can even function in the mixed phase if you want to, but he could also commit to the player phase build. Then we have a lot of units that just have Brave effect, and they don't really need the dual strike support, so you could run some other supportive units. There's NieR Sather, who can end the action with her future sighted and then snipe an enemy from long distance, and she can also get the player phase Brave effect if she has got that resistance check. It will be needing few turns, but she can provide a lot of support with her high resistance and the ending action. And there's also Brave Bernie, who's one of the better nukes that we have got in the game. Of course, Ninja Lucina does give her a tough competition, but she's got the Paranoia status, which can basically give you the Desperation effect. So now you could try and run her with Ymir and still run curve shot, so that way you've got the damage output, and you could quad attack the enemy. And if you face any kind of hardy bearing enemy which has got distant counter like Attuned Hector, then you could survive with the miracle of Ymir, and then quad attack him and hopefully try and kill him. As the main way the armors are going to be trying to check Lyn ring users right now is by running hardy bearing Sacred Seal. So she needs a bit of support with Ymir, but she can be really strong. And there's also Summer Micaiah, who has got the brave hits, she has got the effective damage. Of course, she doesn't have the insane debuffs and the support of Attuned Micaiah, but she can be a lot better when it comes to killing the Far Saviors. And now we do have a lot of skills that you could run in her passives that all give her the extra true damage. Emblem Lyn introduces Speedtaker as an inheritable skill to physical infantry and flying units. So unfortunately, mages and cavaliers don't really get it. So this skill gives you the speed great talent, which is something Brave Alphonse was missing. So it is pretty much the extra speed stat, and you're able to get +1 great talent for speed at sort of every turn. And after the combat, if you attack, then you get +4, and the max cap is +20. You also debuff the enemy for -4 speed and defense debuff. So it's a bit decent, but not as grand as many of the newer slot B skills that we have gotten. It also gives you true damage based on 20% of your speed, and this is really important nowadays so that you could hit harder, because we have got so many insane units with so much flat damage reduction. You need some kind of true damage to finish them off and kill them. Without true damage, it is not going to be possible. So your damage output should be better, and this is what it helps you with. It also has the null speed debuff, so you can try and not get slowed down by those kinds of debuffs. And then it also has Null Guard, which is not anything special for the infantry units because they have got the Tempo Sacred Seal and the Tempo skill that they could try and run, and also, other options. But this is definitely helpful for a lot of the ranged flyers as they don't really have easy access to even something like Null Guard. So this skill is not going to be as big of a game changer like Momentum of Emblem Sigurd or Lagoo's Friend of Emblem Ike, but still it can be helpful to certain units, and let's take a look at those units. So one of the best users of this is going to be Legendary Female Shez. So she lives and dies by her speed stat and the speed check, so that's why Speedtaker is the best thing for her, and she also needs the Null Guard with her weapon so that she could trigger lethality on her brave attack with Emblem Martyring and Time Pulse 4. So until she gets her remix, this is something you could try and do. And you could also run this on any kind of brave unit like Ninja Lyn, for example. So now she's got Lookout Force as another slotsy skill that you could try and run. And if you're trying to update her, then this is a really good option so that you could trigger Ruptured Sky on your brave hit. And then you could simply try and set up with the Lookout Force and its distance swap. You could even run Lyn Ring if you don't want to get the extraction out of her duo skill, but it's still useful. And we've got Summer Claude as a +10 unit that a lot of people have because of him being a 4-star focus. So unfortunately, Fallen Star doesn't really matter all that much right now. I mean, the gravity is useful with the Emblem Lyn Ring, but the damage reduction, not so much. So Speedtaker could be run so that you could get the Null Guard, the true damage, which helps these brave attacking units a lot, along with Slice of Sparrow. But he does need the buffs for his weapon to function, so you could run the skills for it, like Air Orders for example. But on a budget, you could even run Attack Speed Oath. And unfortunately, he has got the bad Canto in his weapon, so Fortress Echo is something you're going to be needing if you're going to be running Emblem Lyn Ring. And like I mentioned, Legendary Hinoka before as a good user of Lyn Ring, she does use Speedtaker really well, and basically any kind of unit that was using Assassin's Strike before pretty much wants to have this skill because you get the true damage and you get the Null Guard effect and also the Great Talent, so it can help you snowball basically. And the range flyers don't really have a lot of slot B options, and recently we did get the Refine for Shamir. She does have the sweep effect as well, so she could try and make use of this, get the Null Guard, and then make use of something like Creation Pulse to trigger her Deadeye along with her weapon. And there's also Legendary Alm. He could also run Speedtaker if you don't want to run physical null follow-up on him, and this way he's able to compete with a lot of the faster units. And you could also try and run this on Catherine. A lot of the Desperation units like her are going to be loving this so that they could just double more, take advantage of the Desperation effect. And these player phase units don't really have any kind of business tanking the hits a lot of the time, so they could just try and commit to this. And Catherine with her Treachery loves this skill so that she could stack as much true damage as she possibly can, along with Defense Risk Pledge giving her the remaining buffs and also the special charges status. Unfortunately, she does lack the -1 special cooldown, but Emblem Sigurd Ring could be used for a player phase unit like her. And recently we also got the Refine for Jill. She's also going to be present in the Hall of Forms Revival, but she's not going to be able to get the Speedtaker, which is a really good skill for her, especially if you run a Gale Force build on her because of the special charges that she has got. So if you're not running Momentum and no quarter, this could be an option. And there's also Tsubasa, who is a bit of an older Refine, but she is also a player phase unit with the Desperation effect. And one of the criticisms that many of her fans had with the Refine was that she didn't really get any kind of true damage. So now you could try and stack it up with Speedtaker and Slice the Sparrow, and you could simply run Rain Snap to get the extra movement. She already has the Canto in her weapon, and you could also run this on Brave Claude, which a lot of people did get in the Hall of Forms Revival. He didn't really have a lot of slot B options, unfortunately, and now this is going to be the best one. It does overlap a bit with his weapon Refine, but a bit of overlap with stuff like Null Guard isn't really the biggest deal for the other advantages this can give you. So for a faster unit, it does help, even though it doesn't really give him any kind of damage reduction. But I mean, he doesn't have a lot of options. You could also try and run this on many of the faster beast units like NieR, and he does have the special charges out of his weapon, so getting the null guard does help him. And you could always try and pair it up with Beast Threaten. Attack Speed Fortune and Nimble Beast are an option. So with the Fortune skill, you're able to easily transform and get the +1 movement. But still, you could run the Emblem Sigurd ring so that you could get that flat Canto 3, which is really good for a player phase unit. And Summer Petra does get better with the Emblem Lyn ring, as she does have the beast effective damage. She also has the special jumps in her weapon, and now she's got Emblem Lyn ring, so she could stay near her allies and survive with the miracle that you could get out of Ymir or Fallen Maria. And we do have Winter for Mortis and Nidhogger, the mythic version, as very popular far saviors against whom she can get the effective damage. And you could also run this on a lot of units with an arcane weapon that might be your favorites. So if you want to take more of an offensive route for these units that have a harder time keeping up with the speed stat against the modern threats, then this could help. So Camilla could run this instead of running the Pegasus Rift skill, which is popularly used on her. And with the special jumps of the modern arcane weapons, the null guard effect is really good. And you could also run this on a lot of the bow units with the Emblem Lyn ring. So they love having this, as with the dark bow, they are able to get the desperation effect, and they could run this instead of Assassin Strike. We're probably going to be getting another arcane bow in 2025, so that could also be run whenever that comes out. Probably going to be having special jumping. Speaking of special jumping, Arcane Sly Knife also has that, and any kind of dagger unit can try and stack up the true damage from it, the finish skill, and Speedtaker. And you could get the damage reduction piercing with lethality, and the dull speed defense built in the Arcane Sly Knife really goes well with the game plan of Speedtaker. You haven't really seen a lot of melee units appear in this section, and that's because they mostly have other options, but the melee brave attacking units like Winter Cordelia can try and run this, and she is now a lot more in demand because of the Emblem Lyn ring. So you could try and make use of the special charges of her weapon to easily trigger Gale Force. And then Summer Male Shez could also run this, and this is much better than running Gambit with a 5 cooldown special. So you could run No Quarter instead, and if you don't want to run Deadly Miasma and you want more of a mixed phase skill, then the Crux skills are also an option that you could run, which also supports your allies. And now you're able to stack up the true damage with his weapon, which still makes him hit really hard. Crux skills also act as a pseudo half null follow-up because of their guaranteed follow-up attack, so if you're fast enough, you can pretty much take advantage of it. There's also the guaranteed follow-up attack on Slice of Sparrow, so a lot of units which I showed before that may not have the full null follow-up, they could again try and make use of it as a pseudo half null follow-up. I hope this video helped you understand Emblem Lyn ring, and I want to thank all of my team members for their constant support. You could click the link on the screen right now to check out my analysis on Emblem Lyn herself, and make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as Emblem Lyn ring on turn 1. So with that, see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.